following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Sitting down and designing, why every man in my thinking, what are we gonna be wearing? Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC, you can't test me, big up the girls inside the party, let's get down to crazy Jimmy, big up myself and known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
Bitch, I'm your one I wanna be, Jimmy Star's new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Star's.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Bringing you the good times in music, fashion, pop culture, and entertainment. We got a fun show for you guys today. We have comic artist Tom Rasch coming on, and then we have an old friend of ours who we haven't seen in minutes since we moved to California, Adam Ginsberg, coming on the show. He's a horror movie maker and actor and runs a big film festival. So it should be a lot of fun. We hope everybody's good. There's Astro. Say hi, Astro. Astro, say hi to everybody.
It's difficult today. Astro, come on. You know, he's not he wants to be in show business, but only when he wants. Before we went on the air, he was jumping all over, like so excited to be, I'm in show business.
It's a lot of fun.
Here we go. Let's try it again, gently.
Say hi, Astro. Look, Astro. Hi, Astro. Say hi to everybody.
Screw.
Anyway.
They're like children. They never do what you want when you want them to do it.
Hope everybody is doing well. We want to send shout-outs to people in Florida. We know Lady Lake is in the middle of the hurricane. And so
but
we
not
wish
to worry
things.
Because, you know, we had one and it was nothing. Of course, they made a big deal about it. Certain parts got hit bad, but it was not really what they made it out to be.
But we're sending well wishes, and we don't want anything to happen.
Right, we don't want anybody. It's just a lot of water, a lot of flooding, a lot of water, a big mess. But you live with it.
And then, I was going to say something else, and now I forgot. Because I'm trying to get people. This is a new way to get. So you guys, if you're trying to get into the chat room, all you got to do now, we've changed things a little bit. Go to w4cy.com. The video is playing there. But if you want to actually chat, just click on the video. And it'll take you to YouTube, and you can join our YouTube chat. Okay, talk for a second so I can help people here trying to get in.
I love how to talk for a second, sit for a second, don't talk for a second. I mean, talk about a control freak. This guy is a friggin' control freak. Anyway, it's coming up soon, Halloween, and we're going to get dressed as cowboys because it's a Western theme at St. Jude's benefit at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in Hollywood. It's $30 a ticket, so worth it. You get to roam all around the Wax Museum and see all of the famous movie stars' wax figures, and some of them are just outrageous. Steven Spielberg actually looks like it was Steven Spielberg. He fools everybody. And the Angelina Jolie wax figure is fabulous too. Anyway, it's a big deal event.
For St. Jude's.
I said St. Jude's. Oh, what are you going to come in now and tell me what to say?
No, I'm just saying. We're sponsoring.
Put your head up.
You guys, we're sponsoring it along with BJ Mezek with his film company and a bunch of other cool people are sponsoring it. It's on October 21st. You can go to Hollywood-hotness.com and you can get tickets there for it. And there's a whole bunch of great celebrities this time that were not there last time. So
you're going to shut up and let me handle it?
Okay.
I was supposed to do that segment.
Okay,
and then, of course, you cut in because you have to be Mr. Big Shot Budinsky. That's your new name, Budinsky.
Okay, anyway.
You butt in. Anyway.
Do you know who's going to be there?
Jimmy Star, unfortunately, will be there with me. But anyway, he's going to try to look like a cowboy. That's got to be a laugh. But anyway, I can't wait to see him as a cowboy. Maybe more like a cowgirl would be better. But, cowboy. He'll try hard. So we have things to show. We have thingalings. Look at me. Oh, I just lost my head. Look. Oh, I can't handle a dog in my Cocoa Pop.
Funko Pop.
Funko Pop. Look at that. It says Ron Russell. I have my very own Funko Pop.
And I'm Jimmy
Funko
Star
Pop.
with the red glasses, which I don't have red ones on. I don't do that now because if these get smashed up, then they're not worth as much money. So these are one of a kind right now, you guys, but we're going to make some different ones and then figure out how to produce them so we can sell them.
Wouldn't that be fun to have a Ron Russell and Jimmy Star doll?
I already had two
And
people
then
say
you
they
could
want
stick pins in the Jimmy Star doll.
one. Isn't it fun, you guys? So check it out, our Funko Pops for Jimmy Star and Ron Russell.
It looks just like me with the black eyebrows and the white hair. And the little shirt. I like the little outfit.
You gotta love it.
Funko Pops.
There you go, you guys. I collect them and I have hundreds of them. And
So
Yeah,
last
that's fun.
week we weren't on the air because we went to the Rudolph Valentino Memorial in the cemetery in Hollywood, which used to be called the Hollywood Memorial Cemetery. Now they've changed it to what? Some other name.
Hollywood. I don't know.
Anyway, that cemetery went into ruin. It was overgrown and everything was being destroyed. It was left and neglected for years, and it looked like an empty lot with a bunch of rocks in it. So some smart guys bought it and turned it into a movie theater sometimes, and you could have events there. And they held the memorial for Rudolph Valentino in the mausoleum where Rudy is interned in the wall. We sat on folding chairs in the middle of the mausoleum. To the left were ashes of people, and to the right were boxes of ashes to people. So it was kind of weird sitting in the middle of a bunch of hundreds of dead people. As for the memorial, I really couldn't understand it because he's 100 years dead, Rudolph Valentino. And these people never knew him. I mean, he wasn't in their lifetime, yet they love him. And they mourn him. They wear black and they carry on about he's dead. My mother was also a nut for Rudolph Valentino, and I have quite a large collection of pictures that she collected over the years being his fan. It was an interesting event. What I found very interesting was after the memorial services, we went to this gentleman's house where he has the collection of Valentino stuff, I mean, to die for. Unbelievable. Everything from a sofa and a club chair to Rudolph Valentino's platinum ring that he wore, which
cool.
I slipped onto my pinky, and it couldn't go all the way up my pinky. So Rudy had very, very tiny fingers. He must have been a very tiny man. It was a very enjoyable time and something to do, so Hollywood. The girl came dressed in black, like supposed to be Natasha Romova, who came to Rudy's funeral every year, his memorial. And she came in black with the red rose. So they do the theater that was done the year that Rudolph Valentino died, and that was 1926. So hooray, hooray for people that keep Rudolph Valentino's name alive.
Yeah, it was something different, something I had never been before, something I had never seen.
I've never partied in a cemetery. This is the first time. Well, it is the first time I've ever partied. Nobody was sad. We were all laughing and talking. And I mean, you know, I don't know him. I could care less about him. I know my mother adored him, but I don't mourn him. I mean, I felt nothing. In 1949, I was 9 years old, and my mother dragged me to this place, this mausoleum. And I saw Rudolph Valentino's crypt. And my mother was so excited. She was rubbing the wall and saying, "Oh, could you imagine Rudy's in there?" And I kept saying to myself, "Yeah, and so, I mean, what's the big deal? It's not like you screwed him. He was your lover." You know, although my father was very jealous. Also, my mother wanted to name me Rudy, and my father said absolutely not. So she named me Ronald, I guess closest thing to Rudy. So that's enough for Rudolph Valentino. Who's on our show today beside Adam Ginsberg?
Adam Ginsberg is
who's
going
a
to be our
good friend of ours.
second guest. Our first guest, which I was thinking, thank you, B, because she's been sending people.
Stinking?
Huh?
What's his name? Stinking?
No, Adam Ginsberg.
No, that's the first one. You said
So our
somebody
first-
stinking.
No.
Oh, I need hearing
Hearing
aids.
aids.
Oh, did you just say the guy's name was something stinking?
No.
What did you say? Repeat.
I don't know what I said. I said thank you, B. Claudia, because she's helping get people, you know, directing people since we have this new thing that we're doing. And so I was thanking her, and I was thanking her in the chat room. And our first guest, we're bringing him on in 4 minutes. Let me do my little commercial real quick. Hey, you guys. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We missed last week, but we have. We want to thank everybody because I think our last show did really good with everybody on it.
Yeah, and I interviewed all the people, and I couldn't get a decent interview out of anybody because they don't even know why they mourn Valentino. Because I kept saying, what is the reason that you do this? And they said, because we like it or we enjoy it or it's getting together. So there really wasn't a story there at all. I wanted somebody to tell me they had a past life experience. They felt that they were in that era, that they knew Rudolph Valentino. I wanted something exciting and juicy. But these are just ordinary people sitting around stuffing their face with whatever the guy put out, carrots and crap.
In the meantime,
and it was a nice party. I had a good time.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in every week. We've broken 1.1 billion downloads. It's been a lot of fun, and we're looking to do more. And
that's amazing. Not million, put a B there. 1 billion and a half.
No, 1.1 billion.
1.1 billion. It's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of downloads.
So we thank everybody for downloading and streaming the show.
And I want to thank you all for liking our show so much that you all downloaded it to see it.
Or streamed it.
Or streamed it. Right. All right. And those of you that you interrupt me, watch my mouth. When my mouth is moving,
I can't watch your mouth.
It's on the fucking monitor. You made me curse, and I wasn't going to curse on the show anymore. You got me so upset. You make me curse all the time.
In the meantime, the places that you can hear the show, you guys, you can hear us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Prime. That's about 10 or 12 places. We're on 160 places or so all the way around the world, but those are the ones that everybody knows about. So please listen to us on one of those platforms. If you're on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating because it's nice to get ratings. We have almost all 5-star ratings. We have a few people who didn't like us, I guess, but other than that,
I didn't like you. They didn't say they didn't like me. They must have said we don't like Jimmy.
Yeah, right.
Because he interrupts Ron all the time.
No.
You see, this is called a mouth, uboko.
Yes.
When it moves, look, hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? You shut up. When it stops, like that, watch, it stops.
So real quick, we're going to play the trailer for my movie that's on Tubi, you guys. The name of the movie is Purgatorium. I produced the film. It's free. You can watch it on Tubi. Please check it out. And then when the trailer finishes playing, we're going to bring on our first guest, whose name is Tom Rasch. But here it is, everybody. Purgatorium. Enjoy.
So what is this double?
I'm stuck in here.
Who put you up to this?
No one did, sir.
I gave it to you in writing, Bart. In black and white.
I really don't want to hurt you, man.
Then don't. Evil is with us.
A wise man once said, life is like a stream.
If you're doing and you're not doing,
It does not stop.
stay up there!
The funny thing about streams, though, once it's off course, you can never change it back.
Yay! So check it out, you guys. It's free on Tubi. The name of the film is Purgatorium. Please like it, rate it, so it can get more places that will pick it up. So it's doing well. Thank you. So now we're going to bring on our first guest. Let's see if we can hear him well and get it going. Hey, Tom. How you doing?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
In honor, by the way, I've been following Ron's post for a number of months. Jimmy and I chatted on the phone a few years ago. But great to meet you visually.
What did it say?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
He's been following your post for a few months now. I've known him for several years, and he's speak up a little when you talk.
Yeah,
Sorry. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, I have to get hearing aids soon. You know what I attribute it to? when I was young, we used to blast all the music, the rock groups, heavy metal. And I think that people my age now are damaged. They're I can hear bass beautifully. I have trouble with high tone. And I think it's because of the rock, the steel. This is true story. I was at the Cafe Roma in Beverly Hills with Mr. Blackwell one night, and they had a steel guitarist there, and the jerk decided to open up the mic all the way, and the speaker was there, and this guy was, and my ear went. It's true. So I think that I have to warn everybody out there, please don't play your music so loudly. And all of you kids with the boom boxes in your car, boom, 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 you're wrecking your hearing.
Anyway, let's introduce.
Get back to you, Tom.
All right, everybody.
Nobody gives a shit about what I just said.
We have to.
I did it to be nice, like a nice.
Hold on. All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, comic and IP creator, actor, and filmmaker Tom Rasch. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Once again, thank you guys, and I'll try and speak up a little bit more.
There you go. I have a question for you, just off the top of the bat. Do you know who Ray Porter is?
The name sounds kind of familiar, but no, I don't know him.
So Ray Porter is a voice actor, and he's also an actor, but he's Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and you look just like him. You guys could almost be twins, and he lives in L.A. I'm not sure. Where do you live? Where are you calling us from?
Well, actually, I'm back in South Dakota, which is where I grew up. I was living in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I came back here a while ago. I'm a dad now, so I'll be here probably for a while. My daughter just turned 5.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
The Bay Area you can't go to now.
I've heard it's horrible since I left.
It's supposed to be the #1 crime spot in the country.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
We saw something shocking. A guy was driving his car with his luggage in the back seat, and somebody broke the window and took the luggage out of the car while he was seated in the car.
While he was at a stop sign.
Well, at a stop sign. This is like the Wild West years ago when they used to rob the stagecoaches.
Yeah, it's frightening just kind of how, I guess, dystopian it's become.
What's going on today in this country is deploring.
So wait, how is South Dakota deploring? How is South Dakota? How is it there? You know what? Now we watch TV. We watch a lot of TV at night, and they're running all these commercials about South Dakota, a great place to go to be free, or something. All these commercials about South Dakota.
Oh, I agree. That's 100% true. I believe. I mean, it's there's a little bit of crime and homelessness that's been kind of, I guess, developing here, but overall, it's a beautiful area. It's kind of like a mini Colorado, mini the Rockies.
Cool.
And
it's a Republican state, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm kind of a nonpartisan, but yeah, it's pretty highly Republican from what I understand, or conservative. So
I like.
So that's how come they're sending people there. Why are they doing that?
Because they say it's a great place to live and a great place to raise a family. And look, he's there raising his family.
Well, and I've made a number of friends actually that relocated from California in the last year to here, so that was part of the reason.
How many kids you have?
Just one.
Oh, girl or boy?
Girl.
A little girl.
Oh, good. I have 2 girls, the best.
Yep, I've seen pictures. They're beautiful. I have to mention something else that's beautiful is Ron's hair. I love it.
Yeah, I keep changing it weekly because I'm coming up in a movie.
This is his Funko Pop with all the hair.
Awesome.
If the strike ever ends, which it should soon, we go to film Death House. And I'm excited about Death House because I play the star's father. And there's a scene, I can't give it away, where I might have to cry. And I've never cried in a movie yet. And I'm dying to cry in a film. So I'm trying different hairdos to see what kind of a character I'm going to look like. Because the guy I play, his father, can sometimes look my age. So they told me, Ron, can you age yourself for the movie? And I thought, what a nice compliment. I'm 80 fucking 3 years old. How much more can I age myself?
Oh, no, I've known a little bit through Jimmy, about your guys' union and just a little bit about Ron by seeing your posts. And I was actually talking to my mom about being on the show. And I was talking to her about how Jimmy and I, one time Jimmy kind of resembled me. I've seen him share his posts from years ago where he had the longer hair, But I told my mom, I said, you wouldn't believe what Ron, I said, he looks amazing. My parents are 76 and 78. And no disrespect to my dad, but yeah, you look amazing. You got a beautiful full head of hair. You have youthful energy. In fact, quite honestly, it's inspiring to me because in the last year, I've decided to endeavor an acting filmmaking career, regardless of age. And that's kind of what I love about seeing what Ron shares is just kind of this positivity, these stories of kind of old glamour Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. And they're all, by the way, somebody said to me, "Oh, how do you know all these people?" I said, "Ass work. I'm in the business 64 years. What do you think? You don't meet people?" I've met Marlon Brando, Paul Newman, all the way down to Betty Davis. I mean, and then into Sophia Loren. Forget about it. I've met so many people, and I don't make those stories up. I don't lie about it. I wasn't their best friend. I mean, they didn't invite me to dinner.
No, you were Jane Russell.
Jane Russell, yeah. Jane Russell and I were buddies. We hung out. We traveled together. We slept in the same house all the time. Oh, no, Jane was my buddy. But in our business, it's our business. You know that. We work with these people. It's no big deal. But to the general public, if you meet a movie star, they go hysterical. To us, it's nothing.
Wait a second, though. So what are your parents' names?
Bob and Maggie.
Hey, Bob and Maggie.
Hey,
Hello
Maggie
from
and
the
Bob.
Jimmy Star Show.
So now, don't you agree with that? When you meet celebrity, it's business, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting for me being like a lifelong fan of cinema, music, the arts, comics. And as I've gotten older, working professionally, I've gotten to be friends with some of these people I admired growing up. And you sort of get to see the veil kind of being lifted. And at the end of the day, we're all people.
Yeah.
There's a glamour with people that kind of aren't, I guess, in the system. But I've seen both sides of it. And yeah, it's interesting to kind of realize that. And in fact, somebody told me this about 10 years ago because of my goals and endeavors. If you want to be these people you've grown up admiring, you got to start behaving like them, meaning we're all people. We all go to the bathroom. We all put our pants on the same way. I mean, it's just the glamour of the media, the way they've sold it through the decades.
Years and years ago, I used to tell people, I'd say, Marilyn Monroe pees. She sits on a toilet and pees just like you do. And people would look at me and say, I never thought of that. I never thought that Marilyn Monroe did those things. I said, Marilyn Monroe did everything with everybody. That anything you did, she's done. She's human. She's only an actress. So the public can't get over that. They really think that actors are cardboard or made up cartoons. No, they're people. Question.
So, hold on, I want to go to him.
Well, I'm going to him.
Okay.
Question. Have you ever been starstruck when you met a celebrity that you worked with?
Believe it or not, I've been more starstruck when I've met famous comic book artists.
Yes, because you're a comic book artist.
Yeah.
So who would be a comic book artist? Which we don't tell people, talk about your career in that.
Chester Gould.
Who's like someone who would make you starstruck or made you starstruck that when you met them, a comic book artist? I probably won't know who they are, but.
John Byrne.
And what did he do? What
he was famous for really popularizing the X-Men in the late 70s, early 80s. In fact, the storyline he did with Chris Claremont has been all the mining material for the X-Men films over the last 10 or 15 years. So,
Chester Gould for Dick Tracy.
Hang on a second. Do you collect action figures, or do you have action figures for your comics yet? Have you come up with action figures?
Oh yeah, tons.
Well,
the quick and short of it is, for the last 10 years, I've been dealing with Hollywood, trying to develop my IP material as multi-platform stuff, comics, toys, cartoons, movies. Haven't had any great traction yet in that department. Had a few things almost happen, fell apart. So I decided in the last year, and I've been kind of, like I said, the people, I use social media as a great platform to network and make new friendships, new relationships. And so I watch, I observe, I sit back and observe, and kind of like sometimes I'm inspired or educated by another approach I hadn't considered. But I basically, after even watching with you guys and what you've been doing, I've decided like this last year, I'm like, I've wanted to be a director since I was a kid, not just draw comic books, wanted to be an actor. And I actually got offered a couple of roles this last year, all solely based upon my appearance. So the question was, can you act? And I'm like, well, I acted on stage when I was younger, but it's like I re-embraced the dream. I wanted to be an actor, but I was very shy.
It's a lot harder to act on stage.
I work.
They don't do cuts and stops and redos.
I'm really more famous as a stage performer than an actor. I've worked all my life on the boards, and it was difficult because I would be the headliner, and the headliner has 350 people having dinner at the supper club, waiting to be entertained. They want to laugh and have a good time. So the responsibility was absolutely tremendous, but the training was unbelievable because I can go on the set now and I don't feel the least bit nervous, and I'm comfortable being doing what I do. So yes, I agree with you. Stage is the best.
Well, and I think, I made a joke, and this is where Facebook is interesting, is this one particular producer is making kind of an action vampire movie, and he had basically men with long hair and beards. So I made the joke, I look like I could fit in your movie. And he said, well, direct message me in all seriousness. And so he asked him and the producer, they said, well, can you act? And I said, well, yes. I've still actually got a screen test coming up, but he said, we actually have a character in mind for you. He said, we want to take advantage of your Jason Momoa-ness. That's how he initially put it.
You say you're what?
You're Jason Momoa-ness. Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Oh, okay.
What a compliment, though. That's some fucking compliment, actually.
You cursed.
Oh, I cursed. Okay.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I can think of worse things to be compared to, but, and with my daughter being so young too, like I'm very mindful of legacy. And,
yes.
And kind of what I want to leave behind for her. First and foremost, I want to be a good and kind and loving father, obviously. And then, and to let her know that dad continued chasing his goals and dreams literally for decades. And I've had some successes and a lot of peaks and valleys, In fact, I had a documentary film that was being made about what I've been doing the last few years. And part of it was going to be about my daughter, but that unfortunately fell apart. I have a couple of other opportunities for documentaries, but it's about just kind of like having a dream since grade school and overcoming my shyness as a very shy art nerd. And as I got older, just, the classic believing in yourself, and then watching people like yourself. We're all kind of in the same arena of just continuing to move forward. You guys have this amazing show, which is like you mentioned the numbers. I mean, 1 billion, that's a huge milestone.
It's extra. It's ridiculous. But I want to tell you something about your daughter. Get ready for this. I have 2 daughters. They're women. I mean, they're old. One is 47, one is 54. And we never mention my work or who I am, ever. It's never discussed. I'm daddy, and we play cards every Monday night, either her house or my house. And we never, ever discuss films I'm in or anything. And children do that. I think I spoke to Betty Davis about this when her daughter came out with that book. And Betty said, well, she felt that was the only way she could get to me because I wouldn't listen to her. And Betty said that was because we never allowed Hollywood talk in the house. When Betty Davis was with her children, she was the mother, not Betty Davis, the star. And that can present a problem with your daughter because it's confusing. You don't want your daughter growing up loving the actor. You want her growing up loving daddy.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree 100%.
I would suggest to you, keep as much of the film actor out of the house as you can. It's a healthier house. Lana Turner now, I'm very good friends with her daughter, Cheryl Crane. And Cheryl Crane told me the most saddest story. She would wait at the front of Lana Turner's bedroom door until noontime because she wasn't allowed to see her mother. Her mother was getting hair and makeup and dressing. Then at noon, her mother opened the double doors and came out and greeted her, hugged her, kissed her, and said, honey, don't ruin my makeup or my hair. And Lana went about her business. So Cheryl Crane was not happy as a child because she didn't have a mother. She had Lana Turner.
Right. She didn't have a mother.
So don't be Tom Rasch.
I have a question for you. How tall are you?
Daddy.
5'10".
5'10". It looks like because you're pretty tall, so you're a big guy. So let's go back a little bit, because first of all, because I don't collect comics anymore. I did as a kid, but I love, like, we have 2 comic books that we're characters in, and we love it. It's my favorite thing ever to be a character in a comic book.
Quickly, we were at a crazy house that we were going ghost hunting, and there was a big 6-foot chain link fence that we all had to hop over. Eileen Shapiro, you don't know who she is.
No.
Eileen Shapiro is Jimmy's partner. She has a chest that's about 59Z. You've never seen a pair of knockers in your life like this broad's chest. No, really, they're enormous, and they're real. We're all climbing over the fence. Guess what? Her tits went over, and she was on one side, and the two boobs are hanging on the other side. And she's screaming and cursing at me, Ron, help me, push them over. So I'm tall. I had to go with both hands under
After
her
he stops
boob.
laughing, he's just sitting on the ground laughing.
I thought I was going to piss myself, the truth. I couldn't stop. I was crying as I'm pushing them, these big Jumboni things, so she wouldn't get hooked on the fence. So we put that in the comic book. And I think it's wonderful. That's why I love this comic book.
No, I
really
love it.
funny.
So I want to talk first. Let me brag a little. So you guys, you work a Marvel comic artist. You're also a concept artist for video games and film projects. I wrote down someplace that you penciled Marvel Punisher 2099. I don't know what that means. What does pencil mean? You do the initial drawings or something?
Yeah, I mean, the way that it tends to work is still kind of does. There's a writer of a comic, there's a penciler who does kind of all the heavy lifting, draws the sequential panels, and then an inker and a colorist and a letterer. The penciler would kind of be, I guess, kind of the lead guitarist in the band.
Got it.
The bassist probably would be the inker. I guess that's one of the ways that I can kind of equate, but it's usually, sometimes people do comics completely by themselves. It's a one-man production. Otherwise, it's generally a 4 to 6 person. I'm sorry, what's that?
The 2 comic books that we're in, they were like small. They were only like 10 or 20 pages long.
We're in the second comic
Yes,
book?
we're in 2 comic books.
I never saw the second.
The other one is Mandate for Humanity. It's Soho Johnny's comic book, what we're in. We play ourselves.
Why don't you tell me these things?
Because it came out 3 years ago.
3 years ago, I don't know.
Anyway, I've had it on my wall. I had it on my wall for years. Anyway, so I love comic books, except for that we had an individual guy and he just did everything. So when you have all that different stuff, that's different. So
I know storyboard writing is the same thing. You could be a storyboard writer for a movie.
Yeah, I part of the problem is now like I have a comic book we're doing a second crowdfunder for because I don't have the time to draw currently because of my daughter. It's a very labor intensive skill set. But I have friends who do work in storyboarding films and stuff, and it's very similar to comics because you're visually laying out the information almost in a cinematic sense, but illustrating it, right? Laying out your scenes, blocking your scenes, creating the impression of motion, editing, going from one shot to the next, etc. So there's definitely a similar skill set between comic artists and storyboard artists.
Directing.
Do you know Dee Snider's son? Now I forgot his name. Or Twisted Sister? I can't think of his name. He's been on the show a bunch of times, and I'm just having a brain fart. Because he's also, does comics for Marvel, has done comic stuff for Marvel. And I don't think he's got his own comic book like you do, which is what I really want to talk about because...
Right. I want to say one thing. What flips me out about comic books is I used to buy a comic book for 5 cents. Now they're $15 and $25. That's insane, don't you think?
Oh, well, it is, and I think the unfortunate part is that when time passes, we don't think about paradigm shifts in the market and what comics once were produced and the amount of audience market share that they had doesn't equal the current age because there's so many other distractions like your phone and TikTok and video games and all these streaming channels, so comic books unfortunately can't support being able to stay afloat with the prices they once were, of days gone by.
Right. So actually, first of all, I got banned on TikTok, so then I had to make a new TikTok. And I made one just called Jimmy Star Collector. That's just all the movies I'm in and the comic books and the show. And I only do that kind of stuff on it.
I got kicked off of Facebook for an hour. Who gets kicked off for an hour?
No, but anyway.
An hour?
I have a Jimmy Star Collector TikTok. And recently, because I put up that you were coming on, and when I did hashtag Tom Rasch.
That's when he got suspended for the hour.
No, stop. Hashtag Tom Rasch up there, and then the comic book company that does your comic books, your name came up, and then they do all your comic books. There's a company, right, that does all your comic books?
Yeah, I'm partnered up with WTF Comics.
Okay, so I followed them then on Instagram. I mean, on TikTok, and was sharing different things. And I just found that fascinating. So that's super cool. So you have several comic books, but the one I want to talk about first is Black Alpha, because that's the one that you've got like action figures and all kinds of stuff for, right?
Yeah, it was published in USA Today. I had my merchandise on numerous episodes of The Big Bang Theory.
Sure.
And it's been optioned a few times for the last decade for TV and film development. I've been working with a few screenwriters. It's actually my 11-year-old creation. I created it as a 5th grader, and it's stayed with me the whole time. I tell people I grew up loving Star Trek and Spider-Man and Batman, and it's kind of a merged love of science fiction and superheroes. And and I knew that I wanted a space superhero story with a spaceship. We're actually releasing a model kit from the series tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that because I grew up loving model kits too from Star Trek and Star Wars. So that's kind of a real dream milestone for me,
So like I find it fascinating because I basically collect superhero stuff and I collect horror stuff, horror pop, horror. My memory, Funko Pops, and I collect superhero stuff, and that's basically.
We had a guest on, and he referred to her as a whore, and she got so.
Oh, Jesse Snyder. Okay, they wrote in the chat room it was Jesse Snyder. Okay, it's Dee Snyder's kid. But anyway, so tell us a little bit. So what I did is I found like a teaser trailer for Black Alpha on YouTube, and we're gonna play it so everybody can kind of like see what it is, because you're a phenomenal artist.
You should do a Flash Gordon series.
You can't do Flash Gordon because somebody else owns it.
We'll call it something else. Call it Flash Gordine or something.
Well, I will say this: having personal heroes like Gene Roddenberry, creative Star Trek, George Lucas, Star Wars. I basically have. So I bring up the hair thing again because at one time I wanted to be a stylist and cosmetologist. So for me, I appreciate the art form of hair. So my lead character actually has a Flash Gordon-esque hairdo like Buster Crabbe. That's by design to sort of do a call out to one of the original space heroes.
Buster Crabbe is my hero.
I actually found
I grew up wanting to be him.
Like 10 years ago, I bought him a Flash Gordon 12-inch action figure, but it's a Buster Crabbe. It's not like it's not Sam Jones, and we had Sam Jones on the show.
It's got a ray gun, a Stratus sled rocket.
But I want to like play everybody so they can get an idea of what stuff looks like for you. So, Juan, go ahead and play the Black Alpha trailer. Just hang on, Rash. This is old. It was, I think it's about a 5-year-old video, but it was done very well and it's fun. And people have an idea.
Take us off?
No, it's not music. I think we're okay. So you guys, this is the trailer.
The communist stuff.
The trailer for Tom Rasch's Black Alpha that I'm sure one of these days is going to be turned into something huge. So check it out, and we'll be back in 1 second.
while since I've seen that.
You're quiet out there, and you don't interrupt me. You are absolutely beyond incredible as an artist. They're works of art. I would hang them in a room.
Well,
Your
thank you,
work
Ron. That is very
beautiful.
kind.
Question: do you do movie posters?
I have, yes.
I need a movie poster done for a movie I wrote.
Okay.
Let's talk later. Your work is unfucking believable. It is.
Well, I very
art.
much appreciate that.
No, I'm not lying. I don't post smoke up anybody's.
That's why I wanted to show it, because he wouldn't know what we were talking about all this time if I didn't show it.
I am freaking out. Each character is absolutely beautiful, clear, and I'm so impressed I can vomit.
So what's the actual kind of like story behind Black Alpha? Do you have like a quick version of it?
The quick pitch is, I always say, what if you took the Batman story, you sprinkled in Iron Man tech, and you dropped it off in the middle of Star Wars?
I love it.
And it's kind of my version of space opera. I mean, it's got other influences there, like Spider-Man, the Three Musketeers. But I always tell people I sort of take what I love growing up, and I've done my own versions of it. I just give it my fresh coat of paint. And since I've grown up loving movies and cartoons as long as I can remember, comic books and the toys and everything involved, I just do my version of that because that's what I grew up loving. And we kind of live in a weird age because, with Disney becoming the juggernaut that it sort of has the rights now on any space opera stuff, like Guardians of the Galaxy and of course Star Wars and everything else. So it's been harder. This is what I run into from the Hollywood types is they go, your thing looks cool, sounds cool, nobody's ever heard of it. And I'm like, well, there was a time people had to be introduced to Star Wars.
That's
had
right.
to be introduced to Star Trek, Batman. Like I said, if the mentality was in the early 20th century the way it is now, we would never have gotten Batman. We'd still have the Shadow. We wouldn't have Superman. We'd have Doc Savage.
And like Blue Beetle. I had never heard of Blue Beetle until this movie came out. Now I've read all kinds of stuff about Blue Beetle and I've collected some of the action figures. But hang a second. But I had never heard exactly what you're saying. I had never heard. Did you know who Blue Beetle was before that movie came out?
Well, as a comic fan, yeah. I mean, he's not well known to the public, but the point is, like, a lot of times when these execs use it as an excuse, it's a very flimsy one because I'm like, there's tons of things that came out that become these huge pop culture phenomenon. The Walking Dead, The Crow are all based on comics, and the general public does not know that. They just know they have new content to consume. There is always room for an audience to want to basically devour new material.
Okay, Tom, if I want to buy your comic book, how do I go about getting it?
I have a link that I can share from the WTF Comics page.
Put that link up now because I know millions of people are going to want to get your comic book because it is visually a beautiful, beautiful work of art.
So wait, with Blue Alpha,
I'm selling his thing. Shut up.
I want to know. Black Alpha, what do you have? Like, do you have action figures that are actually for sale now, or
we're working on the
prototypes?
comic book. Then we'll go to the figures. Let's get that site up there, please, Tom. Put it up so everybody out there can get your comic book. It's something
you have to tell us what it is.
You could frame the damn comic book. It's so beautiful. What a nice gift.
That does mean a lot to me, seriously, because part of because I've spent years developing all my stuff, and the visual part is important to me. I want something that stands out from the characters, right?
Colors in your characters. It was just the most. I so enjoyed watching it, and I'm not lying. From the bottom of my heart, I really was enjoying it. And he is very handsome with his blonde hair. Almost looks like me. Did you use me as the man?
Well, you know what? Your hair is very similar. That's why I mentioned earlier, I love your. Although, to be fair, Jimmy, I do have to tell you, I do love your hair as it's changing color since I've seen the older pictures.
Yeah, since we first time met, mine's gotten a lot grayer.
No, it looks very distinguished. You both, I've said it before, you guys make a beautiful couple. So.
They are beautiful.
So you have another comment.
Beauty
First
and
of
the
all,
Beast.
is there a way to get Blue Alpha action figures? Just because I have an action figure collection, I want to have them.
Well, not the thing is that for the action figures, those were created as prototype one-offs.
Okay.
And that was to basically sort of do like proof of concept in case that, because the way I approached IP stuff was the return on investment comes from a franchisable, the plug and play. So that means toys and coffee mugs and T-shirts and baseball. So those were created to sort of show this is how this would translate to toy designs. You know, would they pop if they were like in the aisle of Walmart or something?
Got it. So you guys, you can go to WTFcomics.com and you can order, because you have a lot of comics there.
Well, they have a number of comics. Like I said, they're my partners, but Black Alpha is one of their titles.
Okay, and do they still have like the first edition, like whatever the first episode, the first, what do you call it, the first volume?
First issue.
First issue, yeah, I couldn't think of the word. Do they still have any first issues?
Yeah, they do, because we're getting, like I said, we're getting ready to launch a new Kickstarter for the 30th issue of the book. We're wrapping up issue 2. And I will say this, that I've been very grateful because it was a lot of hiccups in the schedule. It's been almost 10 years since issue 1 was done, and that was temporarily published in USA Today. But I'm grateful that people on Facebook and others are actually still interested in the book, that they want to read it after kind of a lull in schedule. And so it's been very important for me to get the book back on track. And I will admit, I sort of got a little seduced by the dark side of the force, meaning like Hollywood coming and talking, and I'd be taking these meetings, and, you know, like I was always like, well, we'll get the comic done when we get the cartoon rolling, or we get a movie deal, we'll get the comic done. And I finally realized, I'm like, comics are still a great medium for telling stories, one of the best.
Absolutely.
Get them done.
I do too.
So you have another one.
Is your wife in the business?
I'm single. I'm a single dad.
So is he.
Well, yeah, but I was married. You were married, obviously.
I was married, but my daughter's mother was, well, I'll lay it plain. She was a stripper. So she was in the entertainment industry. She no longer does that, but she's creative, and she's a big nerd like myself. So we're co-parenting. We actually get along pretty well. And she actually, what she would do when her and I first got together, and I'd make these comic convention appearances, she dressed up as kind of a female version of Black Alpha. And she was kind of what they used to call booth babe back then. They don't really use those anymore, but she had a knockout figure, and she looked very tall, looked like Wonder Woman come to life. So she would bring people over to my table to get them interested in the books. However, it kind of backfired on me, because everyone come over to the table and they'd want to take pictures of her boobs or her boobs. So they were more interested in that.
You know,
so I have a question.
Wait. Our next guest also is involved with, like, he does like a Comic-Con on Long Island where people go to film festival. Will you be at the San Diego Comic-Con next year?
I'm hoping to. It's been a while since I've been there.
I want to come over to your table.
Yeah, I hope to.
You have to give me one for free.
For sure.
So I want to know about this one, though.
We don't pay for anything.
Okay, so you guys, Black Alpha, again, go to WTFcomics.com. I actually want to get the first issue, because this is
I love your
So you have another thing, though, I saw, and I don't know if this is a comic book, but it's called Damian Moon, Warlock for Hire, which I thought, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever. Like, is that an actual comic book?
Not yet. It's a concept I came up with as a 16-year-old. It's kind of like Harry Potter meets James Bond meets Doctor Strange. The only way I can, I do a lot of that mashup stuff to sort of give an idea of the tone. The interesting thing is that the last probably several years, I have several characters out in the public eye, including Black Alpha. Every single one of them has had interest from film producers. We just haven't been able to get traction. Damian Moon has probably had the most. And I could see it almost as like a Netflix series or a streaming show, right? But my hope is to get the time to get at least some comic versions done of these IP, because I've been selling concept as opposed to content over the last decade, So
I would like to work.
I want to say something. Tom, I'm a witch. Trust me, I have very good psychic powers for people. I know people who make it and people who don't. I never tell them, of course. But I will tell you, you have ahead of you a tremendous success. Tremendous. Remember, I said so.
I will always remember that. Thank you, Ron.
I would love to.
Your talent has to be seen, appreciated, and enjoyed.
So wait, like when you say Like, I would love to work on the Damian Moon thing. Like, I'll help you crowdfund, like, if we can make money, and then if I could be a character in it.
Sure. Oh no, trust me, I know how it all works. That's how I roll too. I mean, like,
I'd love to. Like, I just love the concept. I love the title. I love the graphic that you drew of it. I was like, oh my god, this is like totally up. Actually, it's up your alley too.
I want to be in a comic book, and I want to be superhero Fagolino. I am superhero Fagolino.
No, I'm serious here. Hold on.
Fagolino.
So, like when you like with Black Alpha, would you turn that in like we saw the video we saw kind of would be like a cartoon, but would you turn that into like a live action like Avengers type movie?
well, you know, the thing is, I've had, like I said, Black Alpha has been optioned 3 different times, and 2 times it was for animation. The other time it was actually being projected as an 80 million live action feature. Once again, like I said, none of these ever took hold. But when it comes to any material I do, I'm very organic about, would this make a good cartoon? Would it make a good live action? I mean, generally, I'm very open. And what I've run into is that because of all these concepts that I started creating at 11 years old, and then 16 years old and 18, all I thought was the fun, right? I didn't think about, would this ever be too risk adverse for the risk adverse age of producers thinking that's going to cost too much money to get done. And so that's where I've kind of had to re-embrace the comic book. And now I will say this, on the filmmaking side, I've kind of sort of followed a playbook out of what you guys are doing, where the materials that I'm going to try and create on the side is more horror based, because it seems like those are easier projects to get going. You know what I mean? Like Ron was it Clown Motel and Clown Motel 2? To me, any of those.
So
3?
We're
Soon there's going to be Clown Motel 3.
Next summer, we're shooting Clown 3. Could you believe that?
Well, and the thing is that, like I said, since I've been such a big fan of so many things since young childhood, I can totally appreciate some period drama, Oscar contender, Merchant Ivory piece, but I love everything. And so I love like what people considered, you know, grade B level entertainment, and it doesn't matter if it's action or horror. I mean, I saw you had Richard Grieco on your show a number of months ago. And I tell people I would love that guy's career. I've loved the stuff that he's in.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Have you seen him in Tommy Knockers?
I haven't seen it yet. I saw while they were making that with the Mulhall brothers and all that.
Movie. There was nobody else in that film.
Yeah, he was very good.
It's incredible. I want to make a bargain with you.
Okay.
All right? If you send me a page, autographed, of course, with a beautiful sentiment, of the blonde guy, what is he called? Black Knight? What is he
Black
called?
Alpha.
Black Alpha.
If you send that to me, I will frame it and I will put it with our collection. But
Okay.
in return for your generosity, I promise you, periodically, I will post it on our show and tell people to buy your comic. So I will
very much
buy your
appreciate that.
comic for free if you send me. See, fucko, you didn't think of it. I thought of it. And then he's going to want it. He's going to want it.
I'm going to buy the whole comic. I want the
It's not
comic.
coming.
I want the whole comic.
Yeah, but I'm going to have special.
That's fine. You can have special. That's okay. You can just send
Okay,
me
that's
one.
a deal, Tom. We'll do that.
That is
'Cause
the deal.
I really believe in your work, and I think your
So you
comic
have
is
another one, and I
fabulous.
think this is how we actually
Wait,
met.
if you had a crappy comic, I would put my name in anywhere near it, you know. But I'm proud to represent.
Well, I'm not kidding when I say I very much appreciate that.
Beautiful.
So
beautiful
I think
piece of work.
originally we met a couple of years ago because of Salem Tusk, right? Isn't that how we met? You have
Yeah.
another one that you're turning into a feature film, right? Salem Tusk is going to be, and that's kind of a.
Well, that one fell apart again. So it's been twice in the last 5 years. So I'm not going to get into all the background stuff, but it's just been frustrating because that one was going someplace and then it kind of lay dormant, and then it was going someplace again 2 years ago, and now it's lay
Sorry.
dormant.
We meet once.
No, we've never met him.
We never met you.
Mm-mm.
You sure we never?
I'm
met you?
positive. I'm pretty sure. I think Russ Lang introduced us, right? Isn't that who introduced us?
Yeah, because I've known him for a while, and then he introduced you and I on the phone. And actually, the day I called you, you guys were actually taping one of your shows or recording it. So that's why I found out quickly what you do.
Hi, Ross. Anyway, so tell us the concept though, because Salem Tusk is another cool one, and that's I forgot what do you call it, steampunk or something. Isn't that kind of like a steampunk story?
Yeah, it's that's another creation of mine when I was 16, the same one as Damian Moon. I tell people because I walked everywhere and I was very quiet and didn't have a lot of friends. My brain was always churning up ideas for characters, walking back and forth to school, all that stuff. So Salem Tusk is kind of African-American Indiana Jones pulp adventure. I love the show The Wild Wild West with Robert Conrad.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid. So it's kind of my take. Steampunk has really kind of blown up over the last probably 20 years. Yeah, this is my take on. So I don't consider it traditional, but that's another one too that has scared people off because the execs are like, well, it's not a. They bring up the Will Smith version of the Wild Wild West, or it's not a proven viable genre, But I'm like, that's one thing I will say. I don't want to get on a pulpit here too much, but what I feel like is missing in this current age is that these people want to chase after these hits, and I'm like, somebody had to take a risk on anything.
We find that all.
Yeah, and so I'm like, it's funny to me that you guys keep wanting to be involved with these reboots, sequelitis, and a lot of times those things quickly diminish or they outright flop. And I'm like, so you're going with something that you think is a sure bet and it keeps losing money, and you're afraid to invest in new ideas, because you think you're going to lose money. It's silly to me, and I guess I always get frustrated because I'm just like, Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas, somebody had to take a risk. Even the guys that do Stranger Things or The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, somebody has to take a risk. And that's what's frustrating. So I feel like what's important though now is like with what you guys are doing is despite those frustrations, you still find a way to make things happen. I mean, that's really kind of what the bottom line is.
Yes. I was told many years ago by a very important guy, my friend Lee Winkler, who was the biggest shot in Beverly Hills in the movie business that could be. And he says, Ron, the secret to success is knock on every door. And he was right.
I knock on doors.
Knock on even if the door is old and rickety and broken, knock on it. You never know. People that are selective, I'm not knocking on that door because it's in a bad neighborhood. Bullshit. Knock on that door.
Which I see.
You don't know where your success is coming from.
You see Evelyn 11, Manu Tech, the Bondsman, but the two that really stand out for me the most, Damian Moon and Black Alpha. Those two, as soon as I saw the concept, and Evelyn 11, your concept art is pretty freaking dope too.
You're going to be a big success, my friend.
I've been actually talking to a producer actor the last almost 3 years about Evelyn 11. We just same thing, he wants a script that's kind of almost ready to pitch, and the last script writer I had, they couldn't quite see eye to eye, so that's also laid dormant. But that's why I said, I guess if anything, when I've had my days where I've been a little blue, a little defeated, we're human, we all have them, that I kind of remind myself that at least these 7 characters, not just 7 characters I've had in a public eye have had interest from Hollywood, which means hopefully my instincts are correct. I guess.
My instincts are terrific. If you were spinning your wheels, like if you had some crappy cartoon shit that I didn't like, I would have just, you know me, I'm honest. I would have said to you, gee, Tom, lots of luck. I don't have to say lots of luck to you. You don't need luck. You got talent. Could you do me a favor? Do you have your character anywhere that you could show us again so we refresh our mind what he looks like? You must have something near you.
I can grab a comic if you mean something like that.
Yeah,
I'll do that real quick. Give me just a sec.
Let's push this. It's worth pushing. He's great. What an artist. Oh my God. He's phenomenal. I love it.
You guys go to WTFcomics.com and you can look up Black Alpha and you can get the comic there. And when he's crowdfunding for the third one, we'll let everybody know.
In the meantime, for you broads out there that like butts, look, you can see his ass.
You didn't hear that.
You were bent over and your butt was sticking out.
He's got headphones on.
You were bending over, your butt was sticking out. So all the women out there, if you're into asses, look at this one.
Oh, that's awesome. Pull it back a little bit.
Yeah,
pull it back a little bit so we can see it. There we go.
Look at that. I'm telling you, this is like a Picasso. I'm going to throw up from it. It's so beautiful.
I love it.
I love it. Black Alpha.
And that's the copy you can get from WTF Comics, by the way. They have it on their website.
How much is that comic book?
I think it's like $4 or $5.
Oh, no way. Hey, everybody out there, get that comic book. It's $4 or $5. That's nothing. It's a Starbucks. A coffee at Starbucks and a croissant.
So we have about 10 minutes left, I think.
Anyway, Tom, you're terrific.
So
I don't know. Wait a minute.
Thank you, Ron.
I didn't know what you were or who you were or what the hell you were going to bullshit about. And I thought, oh, well, another, whatever, But no, I'm very, very happy that you're on our show. You really made me excited about. At what age did you start drawing?
I was 5. My mother is a phenomenal artist, so I started copying all her pictures.
So as a little boy, you were doing space people, no?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, I just I started drawing my favorite superheroes because the first things I ever saw on TV were Batman with Adam West and in Star Trek. So I would mimic drawings of that, and then as I got older, actually we were stationed overseas. My dad was in the service, so I actually discovered television first as far as superheroes and stuff. Comic books came when we returned to the States, and my mom started buying me comics, and then my uncles had them when they were teenagers, and this was just magic to me, opening up these comics and being introduced to these new characters in the world, that I'd never heard of. And then I'm one of those people, like when I become attached to something, it never goes away. Like it's first, love at first sight, and then I'm hooked forever.
I'm all about Batman too. I collect Batmobiles.
Anytime you feel defeated or down, you call me up, and I'll straighten you out real fast.
Well, I will say this, that if you see Tom Rasch, because I'm always supporting both you guys, when I see you share your posts on Facebook, I always put a little heart emoji on it. Yes, on both your pages. Yep.
Oh, I have to look for your name now, Tom.
Yeah,
now you're a real friend, not just a name.
He's always been for me. So who were some of the like we're doing a movie, the one that Ron said he's going to be crying in, and they just put part of the cast list up, and so we're doing a horror movie, and one of the stars of the movie is going to be Mark Hamill, because now we can say it since it's on IMDb.
Oh, awesome.
So we're doing a movie. So who were like when I was growing up, for me, the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and Batman were like I know that's mixing Marvel. I'm mixing Marvel and DC. But like, who were your people like when you were young?
As far as superheroes go?
Like, who did you like?
I realized, I love Superman. I love Spider-Man was probably one of my favorites, still is, but I'm a big fan of the tech-based heroes like Iron Man and Batman. And Black Alpha has some of that DNA because it's still about a person. Their greatest gift or their power is their humanity and their will to rise above, background that's got, psychological damage, but about helping people. I think that's what I love about those characters, is because when you take away the gadgetry, they're still just us.
So wait, so who's your favorite Batman out of all the Batman people that play Batman?
Don't say Adam West, because I don't personally like him. I knew him, and he was an awful person. So don't say.
I actually had a feeling that Ron was going to say that. Sometime I would love to talk to you about your history, because it's very fascinating.
Adam West was not nice. He was very rude, very arrogant, and not at all a nice man. He wasn't a player. In other words, part of our business. He was separate and above. And I wanted to tell him one day, listen, you were a fucking Batman in a cape. You weren't Shakespeare. Don't get over it.
So wait, who's your favorite?
He didn't win Academy
of the
Awards.
movies. Of the movies, though, who's the person who was your favorite Batman?
I actually really liked Val Kilmer.
Yeah, I like Val Kilmer too.
Because he sort of gets shoved under the rug with George Clooney because of the Joel Schumacher versions. But
I like the George Clooney too. Also, just because they were like good.
Am I going to sound very gay by saying I liked Wonder Woman?
She's not in Batman.
Not at all. No, I know. Batman wishes he was in Wonder Woman. No, I always read the Wonder Woman cartoons, the comic book. And I used to love it. They all came from the island of Lesbo. And I thought, Jesus, look at this dyke. She's got a rope and she was a dyke hero.
Linda Carter was my first crush when I was about 10 or 11. I had a whole shrine devoted to her on my wall.
So wait.
I saw her once in Century City Mall.
She follows me on social media.
And she was beautiful. And this is when she was doing Wonder Woman. And Linda Carter was tall and beautiful blue eyes. And I, for the first time, stopped. I don't stop celebrities, but I stopped her by doing Wonder Woman. And she
That's the song.
Did you like Ben Affleck as Batman?
Actually, I did. What's interesting is when he was in the Daredevil movie that came out, how many years ago that was?
I love that.
That's one of my favorite movies.
I loved him as Daredevil. I don't know why it did so shitty, and I loved Jennifer Garner as Elektra, and then that movie did shitty, and I actually enjoyed, both of them. I thought he was great as Daredevil.
Well, when I saw him as Daredevil back then, I'm like, you know what? he would actually make a decent Batman. So when he got cast and I heard about it, I'm like, okay, well, that's a fit for me. And I just watched the Flash movie with Ezra Miller.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
You know, I actually thought it was very enjoyable. You know how the mob gets on there, you know, about how something's awful. And I love seeing things for myself. And I actually very much enjoyed everyone. Ezra Miller actually gives a very touching, great performance as both Barry Allen's in it, but Ben Affleck's in it, and he's great too as that version of Batman, and Michael Keaton. So to me, it was definitely nostalgic, but it was fun.
I liked Michael Keaton as Batman too, and I like Ezra Miller. Unfortunately, he's got a lot of personal problems, and I think that's why people trashed, you know, the movie is because of all that other stuff. But I like all of them. The only one, actually, my least favorite Batman was Christian Bale, really, and that's the one everybody thinks is the best Batman. But he's really like my least favorite out of all.
Because he had that weird voice.
I was going to ask, was it the voice?
He sounded like a queen. He didn't sound like that. He sounded like a gay guy. It was so gay. I told you. Jesus Christ. If he had high heels and lipstick, I'd marry him.
I collect Batmobiles. I have all these.
Sounded like a flaming fish.
I have all these autographed Batmobiles that are autographed by every different Batman. Everybody.
Oh, awesome.
Like, you know, all the different Batmans, and so like I really collect. I have a lot of Batman stuff, and I have a Michael Keaton Batman. Like it's like an 18-inch one.
Not to be redundant, but I have a lot of Buster Crabbe, Flash Gordon.
That's his thing, Flash
Stuff.
Gordon, which I like too.
And I was so happy that.
Actually, Sam Jones. We had Sam Jones on our show last year.
And I was happy.
He was terrific.
And now I understand I may be in a movie with him. So I'm out of my mind. I'm going to be in a film with Flash Gordon. I'm going to kill myself. I'm so excited.
See, all that stuff to me, hearing that, I love hearing that. That's so much fun. And I love that it's just about,
like I said,
great energy moving forward.
Stars don't impress me. Their work does. You know, I'm impressed by their work, but not them as people. But Jones is a nice guy. He's a Marine. He's a real butch guy. He's a real, you know, Republican, straight-on head kind of guy. So it's going to be interesting working with somebody like that. He's not a Hollywood flake.
I'm hoping, too. Like, I'm working on a film called Dog Moon. It's a werewolf trilogy. And we're trying to raise money for it now, but like actually, and we have 32 characters in it. Ron's going to be in it, but you might actually fit for some of those characters, and maybe we could also come out and if we raise enough money for the budget, your team could put together like a comic book on it. Because I'm a firm believer in like movies coming out based on comic books. Like I think that's like a phenomenal sales pitch, you know, for the whole thing.
Well, and if it's werewolves and furry people, I mean, I'm always open for even doing an audition too, because like I said, that's another part of my path now that I'm pushing forward. It's about the joy of completed content is how I look at it, whether or not it's doing a 5-minute short film, being part of an ensemble in any kind of a feature production, you know, any of that to me, that's just what I live for. I think I feel the zing, the bliss of just being part of something that is fun. It's about creation, you know.
When a person has your kind of talent, they can do anything. Do you know who Kim Novak is, the movie star?
Mm-hmm.
Kim Novak is one of the greatest artists you will ever meet. She does a portrait, it looks like a photograph. Kim Novak is talented everything. So I find that a talented person as yourself with these drawings, you can act. I believe that talent pours over into other fields.
Well, like I said, it's like I preach the religion of storytelling. Story. I mean, that's what moves my soul, you know, is just everything that we are a part of, and whether or not it's music or stage or film, comics, it's about just kind of entertaining and hopefully inspiring people by story. So
well, that's what I am. I'm a raconteur. I hate to be a show off, but the word raconteur means a storyteller in French. For you morons out there that don't know anything, you just sit there drinking beer and eating pizza and farting while you're watching our show, and your trailer is on fire and you don't even know it.
That's not nice.
I know, but I'm just doing that as a joke. You know, when I did stand-up, you were allowed to make fun of everything and everybody laughed. Today, my God, you say something off color and people are shocked. Oh, that's terrible. But I don't give a shit. I feel if we can't laugh at ourselves, who the hell are we? Right?
Exactly. And I will say this, that because I talked to Ross a while back, I've actually been really wanting to be on your guys' show for some time, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you should have let us know.
He did let me know, like, because when I sent him a message, which I didn't even actually see it, when I sent him a message, asked him if he'd like to come on the show because I saw a bunch of posts that he had done. I noticed that there was a message saying he'd like to come on the show.
Yeah,
sometime.
but you see, because I'm
not good on Facebook Messenger.
I never research any of our guests. Of course, if I know them, I can. But if I don't know the guests, I don't research them because I like it to be fresh, and for the moment, and I said to him, "So who's this guy?" He said, "Director, producer." I thought, shit at the ball.
I said comic book artist.
No, you never said that.
I did too.
You said no. You never said. You said a producer and a director. Yes, you walk into your office.
No, I didn't. That's what the next guy is a director and producer. This first guy is
I know
not.
Adam very well. Anyway,
I told him how excited I was because I collect all this
I
shit.
didn't get it. So I thought, okay, we have to dope this one up a little bit. We got to jazz him up. I didn't have to at all. Your work is your signature. Your work did it, kiddo.
So you guys follow Tom on Instagram. His Instagram is TRASCH65. Follow him on Instagram. Check out WTFcomics.com, and you can get Black Alpha. Especially you want to get the first one, you guys, because if they make this stuff when they turn this into a feature film, you guys, you're gonna want the first issue.
And if you have youngsters out there, what better gift than a comic book? Kids love it. So if you want to be the favorite aunt, uncle, grandmother, or grandfather, buy this comic, put it away, give it to the kid Christmas. He'll be so happy. Because, they're bored with the adults around. They don't want anything. So at least he has a comic book to go under the coffee table and read.
That's right.
Right? Right.
Yes, exactly. I agree 100%. So,
Am I keeping
all right.
you
Well,
up?
thank you guys.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much. We'll
Thank
see you on
you.
Facebook.
Yep. And Ron, I'm going to send you your poster. I'll reach out to you on Facebook to get information about that. So,
Looking forward to meeting you in person.
Absolutely.
same here. All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Have a
Tom.
wonderful
All right.
What a
What a cool guy.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't flip out often, but his work is beautiful. I would frame it. I mean, it's really, everybody likes modern today, all this super ultra modern. What better than a bunch of his artwork in frames?
You gotta love it. So now we're gonna bring on our next guest.
So beautiful.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Let's see if we can hear him. Juan. Hello. Hey, say something.
It's me. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm so flattered you shaved. How are you, Adam?
I'm doing very well, Ron. How are you?
Long time no see.
Yes.
So
Very
now,
nice to see you.
now you're living in where? You moved out of Long Island,
Yeah, I'm in the Nashville area.
Nashville, and you're doing well with your studio.
Yeah, we're doing very nice here. This is Valhalla. Like it here.
Good. And you're
Hold on, we gotta introduce him. Like, people
shut
don't
the
know who he
fuck up with
is.
this. We know
Hey, what's up, everybody? Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, actor, producer, voice artist, host Adam Ginsberg. Hello, and welcome back to the show.
And we know Adam for many
years.
Yeah.
I actually know him for many before you.
And I have to bring it up. Adam lost a woman, his wife, to breast cancer, who was probably the most loveliest human being I've ever met. Elsie.
That's right. That was nice.
I can't.
I know he loves you.
I loved Elsie.
So
She was incredible. We lost her in the summer of 2020. So
Yes.
it's been a few years now. Everybody's grieves in their own way, and her loss is consistently felt. I can also tell you her presence is consistently felt too. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She was a wild New York Puerto Rican who I loved. She was a cha-cha-cha and a mambo and full of electric and full of fun and love. And she would greet you and make you feel like $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have originally
You ain't so bad either, Adam.
Before Ron was on the show, actually, even that we had met Adam and Elsie, and Adam had a character that he used to do called Salvador Rizzo, right? Wasn't that
the Dead Father from
Dead Father? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a long way back, but I think we met you at one of the early Macabre fairs, and I was probably running around as him at the time.
I actually met you before that. I'm not sure how we met. I lived in Florida because Ron wasn't even on the show when I originally
That's
met
when
you.
the show was a shitty, crappy show.
I
No, he had no ratings.
I think that somebody
He didn't have 1.1 billion.
so it was
fucking boring show.
we did no, it wasn't. Anyway,
The best.
made me lose my so originally you guys you came on and I think we had met somehow I was like helping promote the first or one. How many Macabre Fair film festivals have there been?
Well, I think this is our ninth, but we also did a few that were sort of piggybacking onto other conventions where we brought sort of the film festival as a showpiece. So then I guess they're not really counted in the same way, but they were Macabre Fair film festivals.
I think
but this is nothing.
Yeah, so I think it was, but that's what I don't even think you had the Macabre Fair Film Festival yet when we were doing that.
Right.
We met you and you guys came on the show, and then I met Ron and we moved to Pennsylvania, and then we met you and actually coming to the show, and then we went to another show where it was fucking snowing like unbelievable, and we drove. It took us like 6 hours to get there. It normally should have taken like 2, and it took us like 6 hours to get there in the snow. It was blast.
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun. So you have the Twitch Productions.
What happened? Did you miss Long Island?
You know, I do, of course. I grew up there. I lived a large chunk of my life there. But I've also lived in a lot of other places. I've even lived overseas. And, you know, I've always enjoyed new adventures. And Tennessee has been very good to me, you know, personally in a lot of ways. So, you know, do I miss it? Sure. Am I running back there? No. You know, I have no intention of, you know, heading back there, at least at this point in my life. I really think I found a home here. So,
Well,
you know,
we're moving to East Hampton. Not East, Southampton. No, West Hampton.
right.
We all, I can't stand California anymore. It's just gotten to be disgusting to live here.
Yeah.
It's not California. It's weird. And the business, everything stinks. Now
Plus,
that
now you can live anywhere.
Yeah, now that, no, Jimmy's goes all over.
That's
And
right.
most of our work now is out of Atlanta, Georgia. Out of, what's his name, Tyler's studios and the other studios.
Mhm.
And now they're building one, I understand, in Nevada that's going to be bigger than anybody's studio. Hollywood is old. The studios leak. They haven't got proper air conditioning. They're hard to work in. Well, they're 100 years old.
Well, you know, there's actually I believe there's a 47-acre piece of property that is pretty close to I have another business. We have a cannabis dispensary business as well. And there's a 47-acre piece of property in that town, Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is just north of Nashville. And supposedly a fairly large studio/media complex is moving in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this, you know, there's a lot of shift taking place geographically right now. And
Well, I think there's a tax credit in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I know certain towns in Tennessee have a good tax credit.
So you don't have to be in Hollywood anymore.
No.
Yeah, you know, I miss Long Island. I miss the kids I grew up with, who was
Of course.
alive. Half of them are dead. But the ones that are still alive, no, it's true, they're all old. I'm 83. The ones that are still alive are 75 and 76. They're the kids. They're the junior friends. So I miss them, you know. And I love the Hamptons. It's so beautiful in the summer and in winter.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're going to
So
go back
you guys
next year.
Can follow Adam on Instagram. He's Adam Ginsberg Official. And then he has Twitch, twitchproductions.com, which is like the parent company, right?
Yeah, Twitch Productions is our parent company. We do films. We do events like the Macabre Fair Film Festival. The film festival is actually coming up at the end of September here in the Nashville area for 4 days. I have 85 indie horror films coming in for 4 days. We have a noir restored theater we show the movies in. It's pretty fantastic.
You should show some of my crappy films.
So how have you been? Like, have you been making? I see that you did you're doing crowdfunding for a movie called Unseen, where you're the unseen man, and it's got a good cast: Melissa Rose, Brett Wagner, Mike Ferguson. They're all friends of ours.
Yeah. So that one, Steve Merlot, we got involved, executive producing his Sawyer Massacre film, which was a really nice fan film that was kind of a prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I actually have a trailer for it. I downloaded the trailer so we could play it while you're on, since you executive produced it.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that that we jumped in with Steve. You know, I did some research on him, and I liked what he was doing as a filmmaker. And I said to Addison, my partner and my son, I said, you know, I think we should get behind this. You know, my aim is to have Twitch involved in quality projects, and I'm glad we did. And so afterwards we got to talking, and he started telling me about this film Unseen, and his concept of a film where, you know, you don't see the killer. And we got more and more into talking about maybe putting the audience into the feeling of being the killer, etc. And the more we talked about it, eventually he had me audition for the role of being the voice of the killer, which was a lot of fun. And then further, we decided, my son and I again decided to get Twitch fully involved and you know, get behind that project. So we've been a little bit more hands-on. I was involved in some of the casting of this one, and you know, Steve and I talked a lot going into pre-production on this and so on regarding the entire film. So this one's really nice. I always like to be more involved when I can. So this is a lot of fun.
So your son now is acting.
I was going to say, your son is older than you are.
Nah.
I saw a picture. How old is he? 40, 50? How old is that kid?
He's 22 going on 42.
I know, he's a grown-up man. I remember him as a kid.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it. So he grew up, you know, sort of behind the scenes of what Elsie and I were doing with films and radio and all of this. And the reason why we're here in the Nashville area is after high school, he decided to come to the Nashville Film Institute and get, you know, a little degree in filmmaking. So he's really fantastic with essentially the production side of things. But you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and you know, no ego. He's really a fine young actor. He can do voices, and he's got a good look about him. He's in the gym 24/7, so he's like Ad Man 2.0. It's really fantastic.
I see pictures on Facebook of him driving the cannabis convertible.
I know. That's why I said his kid is older than he is now. Listen, so what's going on in your life? Anybody
Wait,
romantic?
So you know, I have somebody in my life. I'm very happy. I'm enjoying my life right now. I'm currently
nice.
Of course, I wouldn't be with somebody who isn't nice.
So say hello for us.
Will I like her when I meet her?
I'm sure you will. So you like my choice in women. You just fawned all over Elsie, and she's been gone for a few years.
I don't want your girlfriend to hear this, but Elsie's one hard act to follow.
Yes, she is.
Oh boy, I feel sorry for this girl because she's got shoes to step into that are incredible.
Doing fine.
So that being said, I mean, right now is really for me. We're really heavy in our cannabis business. Green Trees Company. We're it's legal THC here in Tennessee. It's all hemp derived product. It's hemp, but you know, it is it is psychoactive in some.
It's broke. It's broke. Remember,
well, you know what's really interesting about our state is what we sell is perfectly legal, and the state now taxes and regulates it. So,
yes, I don't know if we're taxed and regulated here, but it's legal here. It's on every corner. Like every corner has a fucking store.
It's a lot of stores here.
Like they're loaded too. It's so dangerous.
So wait, I want to go back. So I want to play so people can get, because the Sawyer Massacre is out, right? You can see it.
Yeah, Sawyer Massacre is actually on YouTube. I think I think it's you just have to find it, you know, through search. You probably have to be 18 and over to watch it, you know, to be signed in.
We're going to play the trailer for it. You introduce it, and then Juan, you play the Sawyer Massacre one that I sent you. Introduce it real quick, and then he'll play it.
Is this movie out?
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Sawyer Massacre is we just were involved in executive producing that one. It's a fantastic fan film. Very, very nice job by Steve Merlot. It's kind of a prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those who are really into that series of films will really recognize the passion behind this, and I think really appreciate it. It's gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Okay, Adam, where can we see it tonight? Tell us.
You can watch that film, The Sawyer Massacre, on YouTube at any time.
So go to YouTube, folks, and look for this film.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going?
Yeah, so enjoy. Go.
Let's go.
All right.
Here we are, boys. My uncle's cabin.
Not bad, Brant. What about AC, though?
How do you think he's doing?
Jimmy really needs this weekend, man.
So, Jimmy, what's this soul searching you're doing?
That's something personal happened to me a few months back.
Jimmy, I'm so sorry.
We had ourselves a little setback.
Just leave me out of it.
Do you have any food here?
You guys are hungry, huh?
What do you sell in your store?
You're gonna have to go see my grandpa.
Where is he?
He's not far. He's got everything you need.
Girls, stay close.
This is the place.
Is this somebody's too? Adeline, put that down.
Brant, is that you?
This is my house.
Hey, what are you doing now?
We have to go.
What do you want?
You're very strong. You won't die yet.
Get away from her. I need you to save your strength, okay? I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Allie.
Hey!
Hey, you know what? For a fan film, they did it pretty good. It's a pretty good trailer.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love it. So congrats on that one.
Blood.
Ooh. Hey, Ron doesn't like the blood, but I like the blood. So I was thinking about you.
I'm in horror movies. Guess what? I told them in my contract, do not cut me and put fake blood because if it goes in my hair, it makes it pink.
Right.
You can't wash it out. So I am against bleeding in the movie.
So I have a question for you because I went down your IMDb because I was thinking about you a lot lately because back in the day you did a film called The Long Island Serial Killer and now they just fucking like arrested the Long Island Serial Killer.
Yeah.
Like what do you think of? Because I also did the trailer for that one because I just thought it was cool because you actually play the serial killer.
Yeah. Well, I played the part. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. A lot of people have asked me about that, and what's very funny is that I got involved in that film originally because I had thought to myself, nothing was done on this film, on this crime. At least at that point, when we first did the film back in 2013, when we shot it, there was nothing done at that point. Maybe a book or something, I think maybe. And so I got involved because I was from the island, and I figured, you know what? If nothing else, at some point in time, there'll be a relevancy to this because it was the first film done on this subject. And so that's why I did it. And I remember asking the writers, what do you want me to do here in terms of a killer? Give me some sort of an inspiration. And it's interesting because at the time I was producing the film, and my intention was just to do some sort of like a, he went that away cameo type of whatever, just to have some fun in the scene. And the guy that I cast as the killer that I really loved had a falling out with the director. And I got a phone call one night and I was told that they couldn't work with him. And we were like 4 weeks away from shooting. And we had a 12-day schedule of running around between Long Island, the city, the Bronx, and Connecticut, right? And even out at Gilgo. So I said, well, what are we going to do? And they said, you're going to play him. And I said, really? And I was like, at this point, you got to understand, when I'm doing things, I sort of get into whatever that job is, and I cast the film and I was like locking down locations and all of this. And suddenly that was removed. And I'm like, oh, and now you want me to do this? And so I remember I said, well, you got to give me something. Who is this? You wrote it. Who is he? And at least some sort of inspiration for this killer, because obviously it was unsolved at the time. And our film was sort of a fictional take on true events. and inspired by, I guess. And the long story short is he said to me, "Give me Bundy." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "I will see you in 4 weeks. I'm relieving all of my producing duties. I won't be talking to anybody until then. And I'll see you on set." And I hung up the phone. And then I spent the next 4 weeks basically memorizing the script and scaring the shit out of myself, researching Ted Bundy. And, and ultimately, I was just looking for I just wanted to, I guess, portray somebody that could be an everyman, walking down the street or in life, the most, unsuspecting. And then in, boom, you just completely other side, different phase, complete monster. And you'd be like, this is the most heinous, individual, the eyes glaring, the whole thing, and, coming at you with violence. So that's what I tried to portray in that film. And, so now you say, well, this guy was finally caught. So that's fantastic, because coming especially from Long Island, let alone just as being involved personally in a way of I had a crime happen in Elsie's family that was close to me, where somebody was murdered, and this was while we were together. So this is nice to see that victims in some way get some kind of justice. She wasn't related to this case,
I don't know if you're going to remember this, but there was a barmaid. Her name was Mary Dugan. She was a barmaid, and a guy was sort of coming on during the bar, and she put him off. She got in her car to go home, and she was driving on the Southern State Parkway, and he was behind her the whole time, following her. Foolishly, she got off the exit, but you know what exit she got off? The park. And she wound up in the park without he killed her. He chopped her up. And it was Mary Dugan. Back in 1961, 2 or 3. So there was a lot of killings on Long Island over the years. Crazy man.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you never heard that. That was a legend on Long Island.
No, didn't hear that.
We do.
Mary Dugan, there's a thing about Mary Dugan, though. Isn't there like a saying about?
Well, we as kids used to say Mary Dugan. In other words, remember Mary Dugan, because all of our friends, we lived on Long Island. We all drove cars. The girls drove cars as well as fellas. So we'd all meet at a bar, and then we'd all leave, and the girls would get in their car. So when the girls got in the car, we'd say, "Remember Mary Dugan," which meant don't go on the Southern State Parkway and get off the park exit where there's nothing but a dead spot.
So how did you pick Tennessee? Like decide, okay, I'm going to make a big life change.
Well, so in New York, basically, I kind of reached a point financially where things weren't going that well, and that was a time in my life where Elsie and I weren't together. Addison wanted to try something different than traditional college. He was my only familial tie to New York at that point. And, even though we were still married, we were apart. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go wherever he wants to go as long as he'll have me. You got to remember something. Addison and I only had him less than half the time throughout his life. His mom and I started a divorce like 3 months after he was born. So I've never had him full time.
Wait, you know they were divorced?
No.
He's my second wife.
Her first wife. I have to clear that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that being said, I saw this, and so did he, as an opportunity to catch up on some years and whatever it may be. So it really made sense to go wherever he wanted to go. And when the idea of Nashville Film Institute was passed to me and I found out about it, I said, you know what, this seems pretty good. Went down, researched it. The area that we live in is very similar to where we lived on the island. So it was an easy transition. And then coming here, and this was almost 4 years ago, I left New York, and one of my first trips to a gas station, I caught 99 cents a gallon gas like 4 years ago. Man, let me tell you, everything I ate tasted sweeter. The weather is incredible. The people here are truly everyone that I've run across. I think I can count on one hand, in all seriousness, the amount of negative people that I've met. Everybody here that I've run into has been very positive energy. Most people I run into aren't even from here. The closer you get to Nashville, the less Tennesseans you actually meet. It's very interesting. Everyone's from somewhere else, and just overall, this is just a very positive, sort of uplifting sort of feeling place to live, and that's what made me feel like this is where we're gonna, put some stakes down. And we decided to open the dispensary business and to bring the film festival here.
I love the fact that you kept the film festival and everything going. I've only been to Nashville once, but I actually. Because I write and I have a column on the Nashville Music Guide, so I
I've
see
been to
what's going on
Nashville a lot of times, driving back and forth from New York to LA, and I just found it to be anti-Semitic, to be quite frank.
Really?
Well, back in those days.
Yeah, but you're talking about 50 years ago.
No, 50 years. No, over the years, I found it to be.
They say it's one of the best places to live now, entertainment-wise. For music, it's one of the best places to live.
They didn't like Italians either. Because my friend Maria and Lee Winkler, they were seriously.
I know you're being serious. I love. You got to understand, Ron. I love your whole. This is something about the way you deliver. It's fascinating to me. I love listening to you.
My friend Maria is Italian from Italy. She was married to Lee Winkler. Maria Winkler, she's still alive. And they loved Nashville and Tennessee. They said the rolling hills. They stayed at a guy's house that was like a mansion. If it was in LA, it would be $50 million. There it was like 300,000 or whatever. So they said to me, gee, it's really cheap living and beautiful, and the people are so nice. And then she said to me, but they're all, like Southerners and English or Irish or some shit. And, no Jews or Italians, because Lee was a Jew and she was Italian. So I said, well, fuck that place. I would never live there. Because I'm half Jewish and Italian, I wouldn't make it at all. They don't want.
No, I like it. Did your son like going to school there?
Well, he's finished. He loved it. He got caught up towards the end of it with the lockdown stuff, so he finished some of it, sitting at home, through the computer classes and whatnot. But he hasn't. Literally, we started this business and we put his learning, all his education from that school and the other film schools in New York that he went to use all the time in our business. And we still do movies of our own. Right now, we're in pre-production. I'm going to do a little bug movie, insects, little nice, fun horror sci-fi things that we're working on. So we're always trying to continue to move forward in some way with the entertainment and have some fun. I've been kicking around the idea of bringing back Out of My Head radio, and took a while. I lost my funny bone for a few years, and it's kind of coming back. So
good.
Because you look terrific. You look like shit a couple of years ago.
Adam, I appreciate the honesty.
Adam, you were gray and skinny and old and haggard looking because you were grieving. And I know you were going through difficult times. Now you look young,
you look happy,
and handsome and happy.
Oh, thank you.
I am so happy to see it. You're so cute. I might dump Jimmy for you.
So I have a question.
My father would be happy. At least I married you.
So does your son, has he always been a big horror fan since you guys are horror fans?
He's kind of all over the map. I don't think he's a specific genre guy. He likes good film. That's really what he's into. And honestly, his thing now is he's just all about the entrepreneur side of life. I made a decision in opening this business, the cannabis business, which was, I wanted an opportunity for he and I to essentially spend our days and time together, not only making up time, but really not having to come home from work and be exhausted and not being able to create and work on things for Twitch. I thought it would be really fun if we could have just sort of this little store with some cash flow coming in, and together during the day we can work on plans for film.
Where do you get your pot?
and it became bigger than that. And he really loves the entrepreneurial aspect. But what I did was, instead of taking, maybe the approach of saying, hey, that's my son, I'm going to have him come work for me, I decided to, say, hey, do you want to A, invest some of your money in this, and B, be an on paper 50-50 partner with me? And in doing so, A, it forces maturity, and B, it allows him to have skin in the game, sweat equity in the game, and a true passion for what he's doing. And that probably was the best thing I could have done, because he's an incredible business partner in all of this. And none of this could take place with, like, he's the yin and yang, he's got the skill set that I don't, and vice versa. So it really works well.
Okay, so now you avoided my question, which I'm
I
going to
didn't
ask.
catch it.
Will you grow it or you buy it? Where do you get marijuana from?
Well, we don't sell marijuana, but the hemp that we sell, we're just reselling.
All that shit like you do. They don't sell pot.
I thought you were a
They sell
dope dealer.
gummies. You probably sell gummies, right?
Gummies, vapes, oils, pet products. I've got stuff for horses. I mean, a lot of really good CBD products.
I thought you were a dope addict, a dope
No.
pusher.
No, we do sell legal flower that can bring a bit of a head change, but it isn't marijuana. In our state, it's hemp.
I believe in eating that stuff. It's wonderful for arthritis.
Mm-hmm. It's for a lot of things.
No, pot is good for arthritis. Well, they take the what is it,
THC out of it.
THC out of it.
Or you can have some with THC in it.
No, sometimes it gives you a little buzz because they don't get it all out completely.
Well, see, what's really interesting in our state? Okay, so I'll tell you something very interesting. Okay, I went to the true story. I went to Las Vegas. This is before opening our second location here in the Nashville area, right? I went to Las Vegas in January, and in Las Vegas, it's a legal state, right? So this guy there is trying to sell me 100 milligram Delta 9 THC chocolate bars. So what is Delta 9 THC? So Delta 9 THC is the THC classically known for the effects that people enjoy or use marijuana medicinally for. Okay. So I said, wow, that's really interesting. And he says, yeah, they're amazing. I said, no, I said, because I have a dispensary in Tennessee, and this is just after Christmas. And I said, and we just sold out of 200 milligram Delta 9 THC chocolate bars. And he says, oh my God, how's that possible? Your state doesn't sell marijuana. I said, well, so it's very easy. Number one, it's hemp derived, and hemp and marijuana is really, in a sense, some sort of a classification based on percentages and the state that you're standing in. But, the cannabis plant is the cannabis plant.
Right.
But that being said, so Delta 9 THC, whether it be hemp derived or whether it be marijuana derived, if consumed in a given quantity, okay, is probably going to bring a head change. And for most people, about 20 milligrams is a serving size that is going to start to bring a recreational type of feeling. So how does this work out that Tennessee can have, listen to this, how does this work out Tennessee can have a stronger edible? And it's very simple. They're heavier. See, we have to stay under 0.3% Delta 9 THC by dry weight. These guys just make heavier items. They're still 50 state legal items. I can sell them all over the country, but they're heavy. So the chocolate bar that in one state the guy buys, it's 100 milligram Delta 9 THC chocolate bar. My chocolate bar that I'm selling here that I found somewhere online that's third-party lab tested, that's safe and so on, happens to weigh twice as much and has twice as much hemp-derived Delta 9 THC in it. I just did the homework to find a legal product that's stronger. That's all.
You have two stores?
But wait a minute.
That's awesome.
When you sell those chocolate bars, don't you realize that sugar's bad for you?
I don't think people are taking them that are interested in their diet.
Sugar is very bad for you. Listen, please tell our viewers what's the difference between pot and hemp.
So, what is hemp? So, hemp, as far as I know by the law here in Tennessee, okay, hemp is let's call it the plant, the cannabis plant at the time of its lab report, 30 days before harvest, okay, was under 0.3% active Delta 9 THC. Okay, if it's under 0.3% active Delta 9 THC, okay, the state of Tennessee, again, as far as I know, but I'm not the lawmaker, I'm just a guy, in business here and trying to interpret the law and so on, with the help of my attorney, is that if it's under 0.3% Delta 9 THC, and that's what the law says, that's hemp. And if it's over 0.3%, Delta 9 THC, that's considered marijuana. So that's a pretty fine line. And when a grower is growing, perhaps, I mean, I'm not a grower, but, you know, I don't know how it works or what part of the field that they're pulling things from, or if they do the whole field or only part of it. But that's a very fine line, you know, at 0.3%. So if it's over 0.3, I guess they're supposed to destroy it. It can't come to a store like mine. It's not supposed to be put up to sale.
Well, I have in my freezer right now a jar this big of pot butter. A very good friend of mine up Northern California has a farm of this pot. And she said, because of your arthritis, because I have with my fingers, she gave me this big jar. Okay. I took not even a fingernail full. I was smashed out of my mind. I couldn't. I was in bed having nightmares. I said, Jimmy, I'll never take this shit again. So I have a whole thing. It's like $1 million worth of pot butter in there in my freezer. But you can't take it because it'll knock you right to the
I've
wall.
never taken pot ever, any type of
Me neither.
ever in my life, and he's only done it 1-2 times.
Wow.
And the first time he did it, he ate the head off of a gummy.
Oh yeah.
We were at a fashion show, a red carpet fashion show, and he ate the head off the gummy, and he was flying all over the place.
I had to
and threw up the entire way home.
I had to interview Miss Universe and Miss America.
And you were in another universe at the time.
I was so loaded. All I kept saying was, "You broads are tall. Look, you're like me, 6 foot. Wow, what tall!
It was hilarious.
What tall broads you are!"
But we were 2 hours away from home, and literally for 2 hours, he had his head out the window throwing up.
Oh, I don't do drugs.
And he doesn't do it because I've never even tried it. So
I
I'm
was
like
never.
a virgin.
My sister-in-law years ago had coke, and she said, "Don't be a jerk. Try it." I put a little bit up my nose. My fucking nose started bleeding. That's not for me either. Then they gave me a Quaalude. All right. This is what
He's talking about 50 years ago.
Wait,
He doesn't.
vagina to eat. Guess what? My face went right in the plate. I passed out on the table in the food. They dragged me by my feet, with my head bouncing on the curb into the car from one Quaalude. So
Hang on,
I can't do drugs.
This stuff is for you, Ron.
I was not even drinking. I drink one drink. I want to bang everybody.
We have three.
No,
Yeah, wait. We have
it's
three.
true.
We have like 2.5 minutes left.
No,
so
it's true.
You guys
I'm not
listen
cool.
up. On September
Not cool.
28th in Nashville, you have the Macabre Fair Film Fest. If you're in the area, buy a ticket and go. You can find out everything.
Wait, 1 minute. When we're living on Long Island, we're going to come to you for your festival. We'll drive down. How many hours? 8 hours?
To Nashville? I think that took about 18, 19.
Are you shitting me? That's
No.
long. I go to Florida in 18.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get this
Nashville's
promo.
not that far.
So you guys follow Adam Ginsberg on Instagram. It's Adam Ginsberg Official. If you want to find out other things going on and movies and stuff that Twitch Productions is doing, you can go to twitchproductions.com. Again, the film festival is macabrefairfilmfest.com, and then he has official adamginsberg.com. Right? Did I hit them all?
I think we wrapped it pretty good. Thank you.
There you go. So we got them all in there.
And my films, after they do the Cannes Film Festival, will go to
You know, so in all seriousness, anytime you two want to come out, you just let me know. I'll make sure you have VIP access to everything. It's no
Thank
problem.
you. Love it.
Well, I wasn't going to
We
pay
met-
anyway.
you know, some of
I
the
always
people-
get comp. What are you
Yeah.
saying?
No, but some of the people that we've met have become friends of ours. Like we met Eileen Dietz there, and we see her. She's a friend of ours. And Jason, what's Jason's name? Oh my God,
You asking me? Then?
Jason, bald-headed Jason.
I love Jason.
What's his name?
I forgot.
We met him at one of your conventions.
Muscle guy.
Muscle Jason.
Big monster. Jason, he's a good
He's
friend.
from Canada. God dang it. We've had it on the show 50
Anyway.
times. Anyway, we met him at your festival at dinner that one night at the festival that we presented like awards or whatever for.
He had a hole in
And,
the back of his head.
I forgot his
You
name.
know what I'm
now.
talking about? He's bald. He's completely bald.
Oh,
And he has a hole in the back of his head. And he was seated next to me, and he turned around, and I saw the hole.
Wait, we only have 1 minute.
And I thought that was fascinating. I said, you
Jason.
can probably see behind him. It's an eye. You know,
Oh my God, he was the celebrity guest. It was the black guy from like one of the zombie movies and him.
Jason.
Isn't that funny? I
Oh,
can't
I
think of his name.
Clark.
Anyway.
Okay.
So now tell me more about your
Wait, we don't have
girlfriend.
time. We don't have time. gotta go. We're out of time.
I have.
We're out of time.
Wait,
We'll have him
listen,
again.
we have a
We're
lot.
out of time. That's
No,
it.
Take it.
We have a lot. We have a lot
We
of.
gotta go. We're already over.
We have a lot of yentas out there that.
No, the Entis are ugly.
Next time, of
Is
course
she
she's pretty. Of course she's
Is
pretty.
she pretty?
She's gorgeous. All right,
That's the Nazi
Adam,
festival.
I'm so happy things are
Adam,
going good.
this
It's
is
been great.
Very nice to see you both. This was a blast.
Good luck,
Thank
Adam.
you very much.
See you soon, I hope.
All right, everybody.
Yes.
Next week.
Before I drop dead.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Adam. Say hello to your son.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. See you
Bye.
guys next week. You guys have a great weekend. We're out of time. Bye-bye.
Sunlight can turn out to be so wrong.
Yeah, we in the mix. Yeah, we in the mix. It's another episode. Here we go. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Interviewing the hottest, newest, and truest of today's celebrities. Make sure to subscribe so you can get notified weekly. Jimmy Star, he's the king of cool. Ron Russell, he's a gorgeous dude. Chat room is live and you would be a fool not to vibe with us at the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Come watch it live on W4CY Radio. Miss some past episodes? Download on iTunes. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. It's the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.